is the July 21st, 2021 Oldham County Technical Review Committee meeting. My name is Amy Alvey, and I am the Assistant Planning Director for Oldham County Planning and Development Services. Just a brief overview of what the purpose of this meeting is to review proposed subdivisions or commercial developments prior to them going to the Planning Commission in order for them to receive appropriate agency comments and get those items worked out before it goes again to the Planning Commission. So we have 4 items on the agenda today, and what the process will be, we'll ask the applicant to come forward and give a brief overview of the project. Then we will go through and provide agency comments. If the applicant has the answer to the questions that we have or has clarifying points, we can go through those, and then we'll ask the public to come forward. Again, just please keep your comments technical in nature, either to the applicant or to anyone sitting on the panel as one of the serving agencies. So the first item on the agenda today is docket 21-007, Greer Highway 146. The property is located at 4411 West Highway 146 and 3404 Cedar Point Lane in Buckner. This is a zoning map amendment and development plan. The applicant is Jason Greer, and the engineering firm is Land Design and Development. So if anyone from LD&D wants to come up and give us an overview of the project, and then we'll go into agency comments.
Sure, thank you. Mike Hill, Land Design and Development, 503 Washburn Avenue, Louisville, 40222. So it's a little washed out on the screen, but this is the site we're talking about. It's located in Buckner on 146, just west of the school campus area. It's partially zoned R2 residential and C2 commercial. Proposal is to rezone it all to C3 commercial with a conditional use permit that would allow for outdoor storage areas related to potential contractor shops. So you can see there's a mixture of surrounding zoning in the area, some commercial, some industrial, some residential. This is the site, the existing conditions of the site highlighted there in the center of the screen. There is one residential structure you see there with the blue roof. And then to the right, that gravel area, some of you may recognize that as where the Fitz's Freeze ice cream stand is located. And then just to the right of that is a real estate office. There's some residential homes to the north on the other side of Cedar Point Lane, as well as across LaGrange Road. And from our site to the west of the site, there's a cell tower. There is a mini storage warehouse facility that's currently under construction that you all saw a couple years ago here. And then this is our proposed site plan. One commercial building, a little over 15,000 square feet. It's designed on the interior to accommodate up to 7 commercial tenants within it. They don't know the exact uses that will be located there. It's kind of a speculative project at this point. So we're proposing one main access directly off of 146 in this location here. We've talked with State Highway Department about that location. And so they're preliminarily acceptable of the location. So we'll have to work with them, of course, as we go forward with the details of the construction of that entrance. And then there is a connection through an access easement or a proposed access easement in this location to the adjacent real estate office, which is also owned by this developer, that their existing access leads out to 146 here. And again, as necessary, we'll be working with the State Highway Department with regards to that entrance. There's a rear access point on Cedar Point Lane in this location. The main parking area is located in front of the building. It is set up so that it could potentially accommodate a drive-through or pickup window on both sides of the building. And then there's a little bit of a parking area in the back, employee parking most likely. The uses could be anywhere from small office, small contractor shops, light retail, some kind of a small fast casual restaurant, perhaps with drive-through, as I mentioned. But again, that's It's kind of what they're hoping to market the property to. They don't know the exact combination of those uses that might eventually end up being. Stormwater is designed to, a system will be designed to capture all the stormwater runoff from the proposed rooftop and pavement through a series of catch basins and pipes that will lead the water to a proposed detention basin located in this area here. Of course, we'll work with the county engineer's office in great detail to ensure that that is engineered appropriately to meet the county's specifications. And then it outlets, that's the low point of the site, so it outlets to the west. Landscaping, as you see, is conceptual in nature. What we're showing is conceptually what we believe the landscaping could look like. Of course, all this is subject to change after we receive your comments as we move forward. And then just the typical development plan there. So that's basically the, I didn't mention, but it is proposed that the main entrances to the businesses, of course, will be in the front, but it is set up so that there potentially could be some rear overhead door access, kind of service access to the back of the businesses, just dependent on what kind of businesses sign on for there and if that's something that they would desire. So that is part of the project as well. That's the summary, and we're happy to take your questions.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll start with Tom McIntyre with Planning and Development Services. He is your case manager for this project. So he will give the planning department's review.
Thank you, Ms. Alvey. Again, my name is Tom McIntyre, Senior Planner, Oldham County Planning and Development Services. My comments for this project are to notate the right-of-way for Cedar Point Lane, show and label all fire hydrants in the surrounding vicinity, notate any easements if applicable, revise the FEMA floodplain flood map number to reflect the March 23rd, 2021 update, notate the direction of stormwater flow, revisions to the legend. So water line is shown twice. The gas line is shown on the plan, but not on the legend. Fire hydrant is not shown, and the sewer line is not shown in the legend, but it is shown on the plan along Cedar Point Lane. Revise the parking calculations. The coffee shop slash carryout should have a maximum of 125 or one space per 125 square feet, which equals 18 spaces. And that changes the parking calculation for the total to be 75 at the maximum. The drive-through aisle does not appear to have a bypass lane. So you need to, since it's 12 foot there, so I have 24 foot wide there. And then you will also be required to have a traffic impact study. Those are all the comments I have for the planning side. For the reviewing agencies that are not here, the comments from MSD are that they do have capacity, and those are approved on July 8th. And I believe that is it, and everyone else is here. Yes, I'm sorry. And in Southbound On Fire, the above referenced development is within the jurisdiction of Southbound Fire Department, and they will continue to provide service to this location.
Major Smith with LaGrange Fire. Do you have any comments?
This within South Oldham Fire Protection District. No comments.
Okay. Chief Smith. Mr. Sullivan.
Comments? So since the land disturbing area is greater than 1 acre, as you're aware, this will require a KYR 10 from the Kentucky Division of Water. Also, you'll apply for the Oldham County Stormwater Quality Management and Erosion Control Permit. LD&D is very familiar with that, so I don't see any issues. With the landscaping buffer, potentially over top of the sewer, of course, you'll be coordinating with Metropolitan Sewer District with regard to that design. The detention basin that you mentioned, if you look at the aerial, where that detention basin outlets is currently under construction for the Buckner Point storage. So we can share plans for that if you need it to verify the outlet of your basin coordinates with that development plan. you mentioned you're coordinating with the state with regard to the entrance on Kentucky 146, those two entrances. And as Tom McIntyre mentioned, the traffic impact study will be required based on the trips generated from the site and the volume of traffic on 146. And we've been in coordination before this with the state and LD&D to coordinate the scoping of that already. That's already started. So that is the extent of my comments. And I've got a letter here for you. I can give you the original if you'd like.
Matt?
I really don't have any comments. We'll just probably end up using the 4411 address. And then we'll use suite numbers depending on how many applicants come in. We'll just permit them like that. And the only other thing I would say is just get with the LaGrange post office just to see if there's going to be any requirements for centralized collection on 146. I'm not sure if they're going to want to come into the development to put up a box, so there might just be something along 146 that they might or might not require. So that'd be the only.
Buckner.
Oh yeah, Buckner. It probably would be Buckner. I'm not really sure about they have a weird. I would just contact you to try Buckner first. But that's it. That's all I have.
Mr. Ward? Mr. Williams?
No comment.
All right. At this time, anyone that is sitting in the audience that would like to come up and ask any questions technical in nature, just please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Then you can address your questions either to anyone on the panel or to the applicant. Coming forward.
My name was Morris Roberts, 3411 Cedar Point Road. And we had kind of a neighborhood meeting. And, our only concerns, we're not really opposed to the building or anything. With this, our concerns is the opening of a through pass to the Cedar Point Lane. That road was closed, and it's a dead-end street now. It's closed due to the traffic flow. They wanted to cut it off where the old post office used to be. It's been shut down for a few years now. And we'd like to see the access to that denied for people to the north side of it. We feel planting shrubs along the.
Can you move the microphone up? There you go.
Okay. We were concerned that there'd be so much truck traffic because they can put other doors in there in the rear, and trucks will enter and leave probably through the Cedar Point lane exit. And I've given Tom McIntyre, I've given him some pictures of other buildings that I've seen throughout Oldham County where that occurs. And what we'd like to see is that they're going to, have the project. We'd like to see like a privacy wall put up, just soundproof it, and just hide the back of the building because it can look a little, as the pictures show, they aren't very nice. A lot of skids and dumpsters and everything in the back of those buildings when they have certain type of businesses there. And that's about all we have. I had some pictures and the questions I've turned over to Tom.
Okay.
And we were worried about, they're having a pool there. Is that taken care of for mosquitoes and everything all the time? Okay. We were worried about that. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you, sir. Mike, do you want to respond to any of those? Don't forget. Yeah.
So as far as the detention basin, that's a dry basin. It's grass in the bottom. It would only be wet during and immediately after a storm event. So once the water drains out of the system, it would be a grass bottom, kind of like a bathtub, but grass, a foot or two deep, a depression in the ground to handle the rain right after a storm event. As far as the rear connection, we've added it to our plan to help improve circulation to and from and throughout the project. I I know the county engineer, I don't know if he has any comments on that connection as well. But we think it's helpful for the circulation, gives alternate opportunities for people to come in and out versus everybody coming out the front of the building. I will say, I think the majority of the traffic coming to the site will come from the front, from 146, and park in the front parking lot. So I don't think a significant amount of the traffic would end up around the back of the building compared to the overall flow that the site is generated. I don't know if Jim, if you had any thoughts on that rear entrance, because I know that's on one of your county roads.
And we can look at that further during the design process, but with it there, which I didn't have any issue with it at the time, on a county road, we wouldn't restrict any traffic. So if it does end up being there, there's no truck traffic restrictions that we had considered currently.
I think the last thing the gentleman mentioned was potentially a wall or sound barrier along Cedar Lane Road, or Cedar Point Lane, excuse me. Does planning staff have opinions? Is that even allowed per the zoning ordinance?
I don't believe there's anything in the zoning ordinance that speaks directly to sound barriers, but it doesn't mean we can't have a conversation about it. Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to talk about, but there's nothing in the ordinance that speaks directly to that.
Right. But I think what he's referring to is a wall or fence at the front property line along a public road. Yeah, that would only be allowed, what, 3.5 feet tall?
And it's an interesting thought because they would have frontage along 146, so then Cedar Point would be rear. So rear, you can go up to 7 feet.
Even on a public right of way?
I believe so. But there's also a double frontage lot, so I'd have to look into that. Like I said, it's an interesting thought. I hadn't put any thought into that, but doesn't mean I can't look into it. So
Sure.
It's more happy to do
something
that.
we're opposed to looking at, but we just want to make sure it's allowed if we do discuss it.
Thank you. Does anyone have any other questions or follow-up questions? Mr. Roberts, do you have any follow-up questions? No, you're okay. All right. So at this point, we'll go ahead and close this docket. The filing deadline for the August 24th meeting is July 28th. So if you received notice of this meeting, you will receive notice of all future meetings. So if you are an adjoining property owner, Mr. Roberts, you receive notice of this meeting. You'll receive notice of the Planning Commission meeting as well as the fiscal court meetings that will be held in the future. So, and if you have questions, you can call or email Mr. McIntyre. He'll be able to help you out. Okay, moving on to the next docket is docket 21-008 Jericho Road subdivision. It's located at 1909 East Jericho Road and 419 Hoffman Lane in LaGrange. The request is for a zoning map amendment and preliminary subdivision plan for 203 lots. The applicant is Jago Homes and the engineering firm is Mendel, Scott and Associates. So if you would like to have the applicant come forward and just give us a brief overview of the project, that'd be great. And just state your name and address for the record.
My name is David Mendel. My address is 5151 Jefferson Boulevard, Louisville, Kentucky, 40219. And thank you for having us out here. This development will be off of Jericho Road. Part of this development is already zoned for apartments, but we are not looking to do apartments. This will all be single family. We're looking at 2 entrances off of Jericho Road. Of course, we'll have to meet all the requirements that would be required for the access as far as site distance. And I'm sure that you guys will require traffic study, which will be done by your representative for that. But basically, we'll have curvilinear streets. We'll have all underground utilities. There'll be sanitary sewers, and we'll work with the proper agencies and utilities to obtain the necessary permits for the design and construction. We do back up to the interstate along I-71. Along the rear, those lots are a little bit deeper just to get the houses a little bit farther away from the interstate. We will have detention. Detention is very important. We realize that we cannot increase our post-developed flows off of our site to existing areas that's downstream of us. So We will do that. We will also try to maintain as many trees as we can, just because the trees will increase the value of the lot. So trees are expensive to take down, and developers do not want to take trees down just for the fun of it, because you can get higher prices for your lots when you preserve trees. So Jago Homes, we've worked with them a number of times through the years, and they are a very reputable developer, and they've developed in Owensboro and Bowling Green and Louisville, and they will be developing here in Oldham County, and Brent's here and Manuel with Jago. So they've done this before, and they're very concerned about silt and erosion. We'll follow those guidelines. The contractor that we select is not identified now, but there'll be a list of contractors that have done this work in the past, and they are qualified, and they will comply with all the local rules here in Oldham County. We have a circular kind of a pattern for the road with 2 entrances, and then in the middle we do have kind of a circle. And what we wanted to do was create these lots with many amenities. I mentioned before, be underground utilities, there'll be curb and gutter, and basically I think we do have a large area along a creek that will be maintaining the creek, crossing it just in a minimum a couple times. So we do want to maintain the corridor there. Any other questions? I'll be glad to answer those.
All right. Thank you. Tom McIntyre is your case manager on this one as well. So he'll give you the planning and development planning and development comments, and then we'll go to the other agencies.
Well, thank you, Ms. Alvey. So we have quite a feue comments here. The first being that by the name and address of the property owner, label and provide the right-of-way for Lakeview Avenue and Hoffman Lane, provide street grades for the proposed right-of-way, show a stub street along the eastern property line and label as future access connection for adjacent development. Lots 53 through 57, 71 through 74, and 76 through 78 do not have distances on the side property line, or they share property line. Provide a description of the general type and size of substantial existing trees to remain. Show areas of steep slope over 30% if applicable. Notate the blue line stream along the western property line. Notate any areas of stormwater detention and/or stream relocation. Locate the nearest off-site drainage facility if applicable, due to no detention being shown on site. Verify if the existing structure located on lot 20 is to remain. There is a note that says it is to remain. However, if that is true, a front yard setback variance will be required and will likely not be approved. Number 12 would be to notate the proposed acreage and the street right-of-way and the site statistics. Notate the acreage in R2 and the acreage in R4 as it stands today. Remove the adjacent property owner information at the top of the plan and move it to the bottom left, and add all the additional APRs that we had discussed. Provide the curb radius for each intersection. Discuss with staff and coordinate with public utilities the width of the verge and sidewalk in order to accommodate for residential parking within the subdivision, as the city of LaGrange does not allow for street parking. Per the site notes, a lift station will be constructed. Please show that on the plan. There's a 5-foot walk shown going down to the Hoffman Lane. It does not appear that is there now, so if that is the plan, please label it as proposed. There are 2 court Bs. So one maybe court B or court C or something along those lines. A cluster box unit or a CBU has not been shown on the plan. Provide the complete list of APRs below the site notes. Like I mentioned, there appears to be what looks like radioactive symbols on the plan, and it's not shown in the legend, so I assume what they represent. And then those are.
Give us a copy of those comments.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
I'll
I'll give
write
you this
down.
here.
Okay.
Yes. And then.
So far, those comments, I think they're pretty minor comments, and we can take care of that.
And then we do have comments from LaGrange Public Works. There are 4 of them. The first being all storm sewer frames shall be placed in a concrete riser or directly on the catch basin. No blocking allowed. Second, there shall be inspector from the city of LaGrange or Oldham County Engineer's Office on site during all curbing, upgrade, and asphalt placement. 48-hour minimum notice required for inspection scheduling. 3, sidewalks shall tie in together between entrances along Jericho Road. And lastly, number 4, consideration for a sidewalk to extend from the site entrance and tie into the existing sidewalk at Duncan Avenue be a benefit for public access all the way to the center of town from the development. That's all I have.
All right. Major Smith?
Property is located within the LaGrange Fire Protection District. We will,
Public comment in just a moment. We go through agency comments and then you'll get to come forward and ask questions.
provide fire protection to the area. As usual, abide by the fire hydrant, fire lane, access roads. It's all spelled out there. You all are familiar with that.
Provide a plan to you for your review and approval like we've done in the past. Yes, sir.
So, yes, sir. I'm just curious, is there any plans at this moment as far as what lots that are numbered on here would be a phase 1?
Don't have any plans now. We need to start the construction plan preparation. And I'm sure once the sections are identified, we will get with you because we want it to be orderly and able to have fire protection.
Last question. I notice on whatever it is, lot 120, I believe it's showing a existing home to remain. Well, the homes over towards the Hoffman Lane area, the existing structures that are there now, I refer to them as the old Powell place. Will they remain or how will they be affected?
Barry Baxter, I know you know me very well. I represent the applicant. That's not part of our property.
It is not? Okay.
I know it's a little confusing, but the owner of the property is not selling us those properties. So what Tom talked about the sidewalk that will go to Hoffman, that's the only part of that access. So there will be no roadway access onto Hoffman Lane. Okay, it's just walkway access. So that's not our property.
Thank you, sir. That's the only questions I had.
Thank you. Chief Smith?
Concern will be traffic volume at Jericho Road. 203 homes produce a lot of traffic. That would be our concern.
We'll have to do a traffic count, a traffic study to determine what the traffic will be there.
One more thing, just for your information, this property is going to be, we're proposing to annex this into the city of LaGrange. So LaGrange police will be responsible for policing this area. So
That or you want to tell him that?
he already knows, I think. So
Okay. Thanks, sir.
All right. Mr. Sullivan?
When I look at the plans, it appears that you'll be impacting blue line streams with the plan. And so, of course, you'll need to have appropriate coordination with the Army Corps of Engineers and Division of Water.
Be doing the necessary permitting, I believe, on this. I'll have to check with Brent, but
You're over an acre, you'll get your KYR10 through the state and the Stormwater Quality Management and Erosion Control permit through the county and through my office. The no detention basins were indicated, but I think you said earlier that you're going to include that in your stormwater quality management permit. Any stormwater structures carrying public water should be put in a stormwater easement within the property. No landscaping within the detention basin. The outlet for the basin should be 15 feet or more from the property line. Street B, we noticed, has a fairly long run, looks like more than 600 feet of roadway with no curb inlet. So if you could just look at that in your final design you submit.
grade to the road.
On the cul-de-sacs, we'll also want you to look at the drainage there to make sure we get complaints from residents where the drainage is traveling down the cul-de-sac, hits the back.
What we'll do is flatten the grades out at the end of the cul-de-sac and we'll look.
We've got a 4% maximum for that. Drainage at curb ramps also, please, add curb inlets to prevent stormwater from crossing. The radii need to meet subdivision regulations. Mr. McIntyre mentioned the cluster mailboxes. I'm sure you'll coordinate with the post office on that. Let's see, you mentioned the traffic impact study. And other than that, I'll just say, I think the radioactive symbols that Tom mentioned are benchmarks for your survey. So,
We're reviewing yesterday and we just didn't know we just figured we'd ask.
Understand that.
Thank you.
that,
Those comments all seem reasonable, so we'll be able to address those.
All right, Matt.
Just when the time comes, if it does get approved, you'll just have to get with me with the addressing and the street names. But this lot 120, if that house is to remain, they will have to change their address.
Yes.
Just so that, if it's going to be the same ownership or new ownership, we'll just address that.
We'll submit street names, before we do anything to make sure they're approved and not duplicated.
Perfect.
Board. Mr. Williams?
Okay, so with 203 homes, that would net us at this point 97 students. The serving campus would be Locust Grove, Oldham Middle, Oldham High School. When you do the campus average for capacity at that point, it's 102.68. When you add in the other approved subdivisions, and I've still got a couple more to add, but right now it would put you at 103.84. So that at this point it would be 29 building permits per year. That might come down about 1, maybe 2, because of other impacts that have been approved that I forgot to add to the list at this point. And our board will approve that, and we'll see it at our August board meeting. So if you guys are on the August planning and zoning agenda, I bring it with me when I come to that meeting.
All right, so at this time, we'll open it up to public comment. So anyone that has any questions of the developer, yes, ma'am, or of the panel, you just need to come forward, state your name and address in the microphone. You speak loud and clear in there, Norley, and we'll get your questions answered.
Norley Moak, 101 Duncan Avenue. Did I understand you to say that you're going to put sidewalks up Jericho Road, or did I misunderstand that?
Well, the sidewalks will be for the Grange Public Works Department, and shown on the plan, it will be between the two entrances on Jericho Road, and the sidewalks would go throughout the entire subdivision.
Only across the front of the development.
Just because of that, they're not going to take them on up Jericho Road, because that's my property.
Just so that I can interrupt. She was at our neighborhood meeting.
Yes.
And we discussed this issue at the neighborhood meeting. And she was very clear that she did not want there to be sidewalks from Duncan to the edge of the development. She was very opposed to that. So that'll be a note that's in my neighborhood meeting.
I mean, I have trees that I planted there. I also have a line that goes, the water can go down and go out from Jericho Road.
Understood.
But in my expense.
Right. The plan only shows this.
It all tore out.
The plan only shows sidewalks on the front of their property, not going onto yours.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Darlene Arms. I live on Duncan, 106 Duncan Avenue. My concern is they said that Chief Greg Smith, it doesn't involve you because it would be city there, but that's not true. That's a state road. That's also comes down like Fort Pickens on state, and then it doesn't start city till they're at Fort Pickens. So we have traffic problems like crazy already out there. We have speeders. They can't control that even. And that's state road. And, so, which I think the county and the police takes care of. So that was.
Limits is the city police is within their jurisdiction of within the city
The
limits.
city limits goes to the not quite to the apartments right now,
This property into the city.
but it's a state road.
No matter what roadway it used to access the property, it's where the property is annexed itself into the city.
Okay, now who determines if they have turning lanes and all of that? Because that is already crazy getting out. LaGrange Acres is we have 4 lanes coming into our subdivision already, which really creates a lot of issues.
I'd like to address your issue with the turning lanes. So, as Mr. Mendel has stated, we will be requiring a traffic or some type of traffic study, and they have to do the counts first. So, once they do the counts, we'll figure out what type of study we will require, and that study will dictate whether they need a turning lane or don't.
Okay, I thought in our last meeting, someone said they've already done that study. Being updated, okay. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to have any questions or comments regarding this project? So again, if you received notice of this meeting, you will receive notices of all future meetings. The filing deadline for the August Planning Commission meeting, the August 24th Planning Commission meeting is next Wednesday, July 28th. All right. So the next item on the agenda is docket 21-009 Old Zaring Road Commercial Center, 7900 Old Zaring Road, Crestwood. The request is for a zoning map amendment and development plan. The applicant is 7900 Zaring LLC. The engineer is Exterior Design and Landscaping. So we'll have, if anyone is here to go over what the plan is, give an overview of that. Just state your name and address for the record, please.
Name is Dean Hedges. I live at 1700 Kensington Place, Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay. Just give us an overview of the project and what your plans are.
I would like to construct a 100.
Mr. Hedges, if you can step in front of the microphone, that'd be great.
I'm proposing a 140 foot by 60 contractor storage building on Old Zaring Road, 7900 Old Zaring Road. Similar to the one I built across the street a few years ago.
Okay.
And it seems as if there is demand for such a building on a not a very busy road. I thought there would be a good use for the property.
Put it around, Barry.
So just for the record, I got it on.
That's okay.
For the record, Barry Baxter, we filed this application. So in order to accomplish what Mr. Hedges would like to do on the property, it's going to require us to have a zone change. The property is currently zoned R2. We're asking that the property be rezoned to C1. It is just a little over an acre. This is done by someone who used to work for Exterior Design, which is the company that Mr. Hedges owns. And the gentleman's name is Ted Bernstein, right? Yes. And Mr. Bernstein actually works for LD&D. And so when we update our plan after your all's comments, we're going to have Mr. Bernstein from LD&D make those updates for us. What this shows is the property that this was actually 2 lots. They have since been consolidated into a single property, a little over an acre of land, Old Zaring Road. The road goes back this direction towards the Rogers Group property. I don't want to say with absolute certainty, but the road, at least at the end, was closed. I don't know if it was closed all the way up to 329. Past this. Okay. So this is essentially a dead end road. There is some commercial across the street. There's R2 next door to us. There's a buffer area here in the back that is owned by
Rogers
Reliable Partners, and I think that's
Rogers.
part of the old access road, if I remember correctly. The Apple Patch community is up this way, and then there's a area in this location. We had a neighborhood meeting on Monday night. In attendance were 3 gentlemen whose family is primarily responsible for caring for that cemetery. It is affiliated with the Brownsboro Baptist Church, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
they were there. They don't live in the area. They just were curious what was going on. And then the neighbor door came, he's concerned about runoff, things like that. And he can obviously express all of his concerns. It's a fairly simple project. It's, again, we're just asking to rezone the property and then construct this building.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go through and we'll give agency comments, and
Okay.
then we'll ask if anyone's in the public that has questions or comments, and then we'll go from there.
Salvi. The first of a few comments, provide the address of the firm company who prepared the plan. So exterior designs, put the address and contact information under that. Provide the correct ownership on the correct ownership information on the plan. It says Sue Hedges with PVA has 7900 Zaring LLC. And one of the more important ones is the proposed zoning is C1, and per our conversation, this is going to be for contractor storage. That needs to be C3 with a conditional use permit. So all applications moving forward will need to reflect this modification. Revise the plan to show no front yard setback. Additionally, remove the south side 8-foot setback in the information. There's only 3 sides, so I don't know where the 8-foot is shown. So it's not shown on the plan, and it's a little confusing. So I don't know. Maybe that was just a copy and paste error. Notate the location and size of any gas lines if applicable. Notate the location of any easements if applicable. Include a general description of the types and sizes of substantial existing trees to remain. There's a note that says you plan on using the existing trees as part of your calculation, or to make sure you satisfy the landscape requirement. Well, we need to see what type of trees there, so you're meeting that requirement. For sites served by septic systems, provide the soil type. I don't know if there's a septic system out there, or if you're using sewer. Just clarify that. Show areas of steep slopes over 30%. Notate where the on-site detention will be placed. Show the location of any proposed drainage facilities if applicable. There's flood zone A is shown on the property at the rear. So if you could make sure to show that on the plan. Revise the FEMA flood map numbers to reflect the March 23rd, 2021 update. Also, the 2 panes for the FEMA flood map go right to the property. So it's going to have 2 different map numbers for that. Notate the direction of stormwater flow. Provide, show tree preservation fencing if the existing vegetation is to be used towards the requirements. That's just a simple line with the label on it. Again, the exterior storage will need to be screened at a height of no less than 6 feet. The plan shows a 15-foot radius going into the right-of-way. I don't know if that's just something from the program that they used, or if that's actual pavement going out into the right-of-way, but you can clarify that. No handicap stalls are shown. You need minimum of 1 space. The plan shows a 145-foot curb cut along Old Zaring, so please verify. There's many items that are not identified on the plan, so please remove the items that do not appear. And that is all the comments I have for planning and development. For South Oldham, it says the above referenced development is within the jurisdiction of Southbound On Fire and will continue to provide service to this location. And there's 1 letter of opposition we received, and I'll make sure to give this to you or Barry at the end.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Major Smith. Dave Smith. Mr. Sullivan.
So it appears that the land disturbing area is going to be less than an acre. If you confirm that, then you wouldn't require the KYR 10 from the Division of Water or the stormwater quality permit from the county. However, it still does need to be, the plans need to be provided to my office for a construction plan review. The initial review of what's submitted, there's some missing topographic features that we'd like shown, like the edge of the roadway, shoulder, have that shown so we can better see how this action. The firm map needs to be updated or verified. There appears to be a blue line stream that runs and cuts right into one of the boundaries. I've got it shown on this red line that I'll share with you, but you can take it with you actually. Make sure that's shown. And the configuration of the entrance into the property typically will have a single 24 to 36 foot wide entrance that accesses the parking. The way it appears to be shown is one wide open area where vehicles would be potentially backing out into Old Zaring Road. So that's a concern. We're going to want a more typical parking area, which may require the building or exterior storage be configured on the lot. Trip generation for something this small, and then the volumes on Old Zaring Road don't indicate the need for either a traffic assessment or impact study. So
Quiet road.
So I've got a letter with those comments and this red line plan that I can give to you before you leave.
Matt?
If anything, we'll just use the 7,900 if that building's going to be removed for the address. So, I mean, and then we'll suite it appropriately depending on how many people come in. But that's not your concern. And then as far as the mail, I would just, get with the Crestwood post offices to see where they want to put their collection mailbox.
Okay.
Mr. Ward?
So I think we've worked in the past before when we were across the street. So similar thing here, depending upon the plumbing facilities that you're going to have that deal with the septic system, you don't have municipal sewers in that area. Depending upon employees, hours per day, days per week, then we'll determine where and what kind of septic system can be serviced on the property. I do have an application for you for a site evaluation. So once you get down the road and you're ready to get some plumbing in that building, we'll move forward and do an on-site septic evaluation. We'll see what we can do.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Mr. Williams?
No impact on the school, so I have no comment.
Gotcha. All right, so at this time, we'll open it up to the public. So if there's anyone in the audience that would like to ask any questions, technical in nature, of either the applicant or any of the serving utility agency, just come forward and just state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, again, anyone that is watching this on YouTube, if you receive notice of this meeting, you'll receive all future notices and correspondence. The filing deadline for the August 24th meeting is July the 28th. So with that being said, we'll move on to our last agenda, which is docket 21-010, Sanctuary Falls Phase 2. 5601 and 5621 South Highway 1694 is the address of the property, but it's actually located off of Schuler Lane in Prospect, Kentucky. The request is for a zoning map amendment and preliminary subdivision plan for 190 lots. The applicant is Clayton Properties Incorporated, and the engineering firm is Land Design and Development. So, someone from the back row is going to come up and give us an overview of the project.
Hello, good morning or afternoon. John Talbot, Barton, Warper, Talbot, and Roberts. And I have a presentation. Tom, if you could get that pulled up, perhaps. I do. Okay. Right there. Thank you very much. This is a zone change from AG1 to R2. It's to allow a 190 lot subdivision. This is phase 2 of Sanctuary Falls. It's the area on Schuler Lane right next to Norton Commons. You may remember the phase 1 of this project. They had some opposition at that point, and we made a lot of concessions with traffic and so forth at that time. The address is 5601 and 5621 South Highway 1694, and it's about 190 acres. This is the zoning. You can see it's bounded in red. It's basically an upside down L. It's AG1. If you see the area just above it to the north is R2. That was phase 1 of Sanctuary Falls. Again, that was AG1 at the time as well, and zoned R2. And again, that's what we're requesting the zoning to change on this one as well. This is the phase 2 boundary, as you can see it laid over with the development plan from phase 1. And that phase 1 actually includes part that's in Oldham County, and then the part to the west that's also in Jefferson County. It's basically split roughly in half. So the part that applied to Oldham County is the part to the east and on the top. Also, you'll see, in addition to the zoning being the same, the homes that we have, the home models are patriotic models and exactly the same as we had in Oldham County before. This shows the development plan, so you can see how they fit together. We have some folks from Land Design and Development to answer any technical questions, but basically you can see we have a connection to phase 1 here. We also have a stub, which will go to the future section of Norton Commons. and an additional entrance on Schuler Lane. So basically with the subdivision with phase 1 and phase 2, you'll have 2 entrances off Schuler Lane, an extra stub going through Norton Commons, and then some interconnectivity to phase 1 internally as well. This is the current subdivision plans. All the roads should be built to county standards with curb and gutter. The post-development runoff will be no more than the pre-development runoff, and you can see the detention basin we have to the left. This will be the entrance to the site. This actually is the entrance for phase 1, but for phase 2, it'll just be the mirror image of this. Oops, went a little too far. And also for the future land use map, you can see that future land use map has identified this property as being single family, less than 1 acre lots, which is appropriate for R2. This just shows some of the breakdown and the similarities between phase 1 and phase 2. A little bit hard to read. Phase 1 is the middle column. Phase 2 is the right side column. And you can see that the density is about the same. Obviously, the lot count is different because the size of the area is much different. The lots vary in size from a little over a quarter acre to a little over half an acre. And we have 25 acres of open space. This was some of our commitments. These were for the road improvements. In phase 1, you may recall that we were widening Schuler Lane to 22 feet. That is currently in progress, and that will be done before phase 2 begins. We also, at phase 1, posted 2 10-year sureties of $125,000 each for the traffic lights that would be in Jefferson County, and those have been posted. The similar traffic things that we would do is we're committing to a right turn lane at Schuler Lane entrance, and I have a slide on that you'll see. No additional utility or street light poles along Schuler Lane, and we'll also have an 8-foot multi-use path that's going to continue from the phase 1 all the way down Schuler Lane, so it'll encompass the entire road. This is the slide that shows the road improvements at Schuler Lane in 1694. Basically, you've got a left turn lane coming off 1694 into Schuler Lane, and you also have a dedicated right and left turn lane coming out of Schuler Lane, which should significantly help with the exiting of traffic there. These are the binding elements. A lot of these are basically the same as what we had in phase 1. No rear yards facing Schuler Lane. We're going to have the 4-board black horse fence. If you'll go out there, you'll probably see that on phase 1 going up pretty soon. So that will continue all the way down Schuler Lane. Again, no additional utility or streetlight poles. We'll continue the multi-use path all the way down Schuler Lane. And the lighting conditions, that was important to some of the folks at phase 1. We'll basically have dark sky friendly lighting throughout. All homes will be lots on MSD sewers. There'll be no exterior construction activity at times that you typically would not want it. No trash or construction debris removal between the hours of 6 p.m. and 8 a.m. And we're also going to work with Louisville Metro Emergency Services and Oldham County Emergency Services to make sure there's not any issues with emergency services dispatch. These were some of the elevations. I'll just flip through these very quickly. And that gets us to our end. So we'll have the folks from Land Design and Development here to answer any technical questions. And thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you so much. So I'll start with the planning staff's questions or comments. I'm sorry. The site address should reflect Prospect 40059, not Crestwood 40014. Tax block 4, lot 37, Jefferson County is listed in the title block, but unable to identify on the plan. Please clarify. Include a sketch map on the revised plan. Provide Schuler Lane preliminary widening and realignment plan is noted on the plan with all future submissions. Include 50-foot right-of-way road cross-section on the revised plan. Include the cul-de-sac bulb radius on the plan. Include notation of the stormwater flow. All stormwater infrastructure should be placed in easements and reflected on the plan, and planning staff defers drainage comments to the county engineer's office. Include the location and ownership of lots along Pond Lily Street. It's lots 648 through 658. Consult with Matt Tolar, GIS manager, for street names and addresses. Include location of construction entrance. Include the proposed size of water mains, gas, and sanitary sewer lines if applicable. Clarify mail delivery system type if cluster mailbox boxes to be provided. Provide the location on the revised plan. The prior traffic impact study for phase 1 will need to be updated to include phase 2 of the development. And the filing deadline for the August 24th, 2021 Planning Commission meeting is Wednesday, July the 28th. We did receive a comment letter from MSD, and it says MSD currently has capacity in our system for the above referenced development. Capacity is assured for 90 days. Capacity can be secured permanently by paying the sanitary sewer impact fees as determined by the lateral extension charge worksheet. The worksheet will be generated once construction plans for the development are received. Those are the only comments that I have received. We'll go down and we'll start with Chief Smith.
When I look at this, I think, how are we going to respond to this? It's right on the border of Jefferson County. 1694 would be our best route, or 22. We're going to be slow in getting there. That's all there is to it. And I think the residents need to know that. Our response time is not going to be as good as it would be anyplace else in the county because of this location. The other thing that bothers me is, although you're going to have a traffic impact study, it's a lot of traffic going to generate by this development. A lot.
One, they have a traffic.
But you don't update it though?
Date.
Okay. Well, I'd like to see the updated one.
Had a traffic study with phase one, and they can't do the traffic study until school gets back in session. So that's queued up and ready to go to be updated. But again, a couple of the things that we did in phase one were put in the bonds for those traffic lights. And in addition to the changes to Shula Lane with the right and left dedicated turn lanes, also the left turn lane off 1694, we're thinking that should, no question, help out with traffic quite a bit, since right now it's really just one way in, one way out.
That's my response. I think it's going to be very delayed in our response getting there.
Thank you.
Sullivan?
So as with most of the previous docket items, with this being greater than 1 acre disturbance, you'll be required to get your KYR 10 permit through the Division of Water to state, and also the Oldham County Stormwater Quality Management and Erosion Control permit from our office. Detention basins, your engineer will update the detention basin calculations or submit new for the basins required for this project. Amy already mentioned the need for stormwater easements for facilities carrying public water within the project. I've got a review letter that I'll share with you and let you take with you along with a red line plan. I won't get into a lot of the finer details of that, but note some of the more critical items. There was not a proposed cross section indicated for streets B, C, D, E, and F, just for the one within the 60-foot right of way. I think all the rest are 50-foot right of way. If you just include those on the next submission and verify that. You'll of course address the cluster mailbox matter. I'm curious if trail that was shown that's built on section 1, if that's being continued through the entire Schuler Lane length.
Along our property line on Shula Lane.
And you'll show that on your next plan submittal. I didn't see it on this one.
It'll go all the way to the play field. So I guess not all the way to the intersection, basically.
On this frontage. Okay. Again, I think everything else I won't bore everyone with, but I'll share this letter with you for review.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Like Amy said, just get with me with the street names and the addressing. Since this is so close to Jefferson County and Metro Safe, and there's a lot of mutual aid that happens here, with the names, if you don't have a contact at Metro Safe, I'll forward the road names to them, just so that we don't have any duplicates between Jefferson County and Oldham County, just to facilitate, response times.
That'll be great. Thank you.
That's all I have.
So with 190 homes, that is 89 student potential growth K12. The serving campus would be Goshen, North Middle, North High. When you factor out all of those numbers, it gets us to 87.75% of the campus capacity. When you add in all the other developments that have been approved that are still impacting the campus, that adds a potential of another 108 students, which would put us at 91.53% of the available capacity. So there is adequate capacity. So there would be 35 permits per year.
Thank you very much.
So at this time, we'll open it up to the public. So if anyone has any questions that are specific and technical in nature of either a serving utility agency or of the applicant, again, just technical in nature, just please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Good day. My name is Rick Rubenstein. I live at 11700 Hidden Creek Road at Prospect, very close to Schuler Lane. Couple of questions for the applicant. Are the entities that have made application for phase 1 and phase 2, are they identical? And if not, could you describe their relationship?
They're the same.
Thank you. One other question. Does the applicant for phase 2 have unconditional rights to the detention basin?
The proposed detention basin, yes. Yes.
And will that detention basin suffice to serve this phase 2 in its entirety?
There's actually going to be two, but the one that we're looking at here in the middle handles that. We have an existing farm pond, and then we have a detention basin associated with as part of phase 1. So between the two basins, yes, it will be sized, and Mr. Sullivan will make sure we size it correctly.
My only comment for the agencies is, I think, more of a request, and that is in phase 1, it's my understanding when the traffic study was done, it was there was not much, if any, focus on the potential need for a traffic light at Schuler and 1694, and we would request for a much more detail and a focus on that issue. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Seeing none, again, this, if you receive notice of this meeting, you will also receive notice of all future meetings. The filing deadline for the August 24th meeting is July the 28th, which is the following Wednesday. So with that, we will stand adjourned. Thank you.